Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cage Conversations podcast, where I play video games and yap about my girlfriend. Today, we're talking about incels. It's a big conversation. Everyone has something to say about it, and we are going to be playing a Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I was thinking through the games that I had in my library that I could potentially play, and I was like, oh, well, Yamcha from Dragon Ball, he's kind of an incel, or he was kind of an incel. People that don't know, like my girlfriend, when Yamcha was first created, he had never had a girlfriend or anything like that because he was scared of women, not because he hated them. So he wouldn't be what we would call the traditional incel, but he did struggle with interacting with women, and so I was like, yeah, let's just play some matches with Yamcha. I hadn't played the game in uh since it came out, and I beat the story, like every other video game or fighting game that I've played on this channel. So a couple of the early clips are just me like getting back into the game and getting back into how it works and that kind of stuff and trying to relearn the controls. But that's what's playing in the background, right? And so when we talk about incels and we talk about their aversion to advice, one of the things that they like to say is, your advice wouldn't work for apparently this guy that every incel on the internet apparently knows, this like 5'4" balding Indian man who's a janitor, I think is what they say. Like, if your advice doesn't work for somebody like that, then it doesn't work. Indian, the guy has to be Indian because a lot of these incels are racist and they think that Indian people, uh, by Indian, I'm talking about people from the country of India, Southeast Asian people. They perceive those kinds of people as less desirable for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't know why, but that is their challenge, right? Leave your advice at home if it couldn't help a short, balding Indian man who has a minimum wage job. That's the challenge. And you know what? I think that I can meet that challenge because at the end of the day, uh, the the process of like trying to meet someone and date someone is not that difficult, right? It's not that difficult. Now, before I get into it, just want to say off the record, this is not advice on how to get laid. Again, most incels, whenever you speak to them, you're like, if you're so desperate to just have sex, then just go to Vegas and get a prostitute, right? And it's like, and then their response is, it's not about sex, it's about companionship and blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, well then, uh, if it's about the companionship, it's about the relationship aspect of it, that's the kind of advice that will be presented here, right? So here we go. I think the first thing, I think most of it, the issue that these incel guys have comes from the mind, right? It comes from the mind. First of all, this is the number one thing. The generalization of women when you look at one woman doing something, right? One woman rejects you, and then you have something to say about all women. One woman does something bad online, you have something to say about all women. That kind of stuff is ridiculous, right? Most people are normal, no matter how many videos you send me or whatever about a woman saying something crazy online, it would not change my opinion about women because I know women in real life who are not like that. If you base your opinion on women by what you see online, if you base your opinion on anyone based off what you see, any group of people by what is only perceived online, then you're destined to hate them because what is pushed online by these algorithms is for us to hate each other again, so that we do not build community and so that we all hate each other. That's the point. But I'm not even going to get too far into that. But do not stop generalizing about women just because of your experiences of what you see online and also your experiences that you have in real life. Again, one woman is not going to it is not indicative of the whole. So uh and just in general, being angry about women is always going to keep you from getting the results that you want. So you need to get that anger out of your heart before you start doing anything, right? So that's the first step. Step 1, get rid of your anger. Step two, I think we need to make sure that we're having the right frame of mind when we're talking about this, right? The idea that there's a true love or somebody meant for you or anything like that, that is false. And if you believe that, you're dumb. It's magical thinking and it's not real. There are 8 billion people on this planet. We're talking specifically to straight males here. So there's 4 billion people that are women. And you know, get rid of like a quarter of those that are children, so 3 billion that you that are adults. And I think that if you were able to be with 1% of them, right? I think that everybody uh looking at 1% of 3 billion people, that's 30 million people. That's more than most states, right? And so, and I think 30 million people, I think everybody, every single person has 30 million people that they could have a genuinely happy relationship with if they tried, right? And so the idea that like, oh, you messed up and so it's over, it's never over. It's absolutely never over. You have millions more chances, right? So make sure we cannot have that kind of weird fatalistic mindset, this like one true love mindset, because that's not real. Additionally, there's the evolutionary psychology stuff, right? Cannot fall into that as well. Um, if you start having this idea that you're like desperate to pass on your genes or whatever, that's weird. No one like if you just want to pass on your genes and just go to a sperm bank, and if your sperm is chosen, then your genes have been passed on. And if it's about passing on your traits, right, passing on your behaviors, like when you raise children, you can just adopt. Like none of this is that we have created a society that has risen above whatever evolutionary psychology nonsense that you're talking about as a desperate reason to explain why you want to have relationships. You want to have relationships because you're a human being and we're social creatures. That's the reason why you want to have a relationship. If you're having a conversation with someone and you're relying on this evolutionary psychology stuff, or you're saying that to a woman, you will make them throw up. Honestly. Additionally, any of this evolutionary psychology stuff about how men and women interact, that is also something that you need to like get out of your head and just ignore and just take people as they are. Any generalizations you might have about this is how men are, this is how women are because of evolution and all this kind of stuff. Get it out of your head, ignore it, and accept people for who they say they are, right? If a woman says that this is how they like to be treated and blah, 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 even if you're like, this doesn't agree with whatever theory of Evo Psych that you subscribe to, then ignore what Evo Psych stuff you've quote unquote studied and pay attention to what she says that she's into. All right. So I think we need to make sure we have a good mindset about this. And then I think the next thing, right? The next thing is I think that a lot of these incels, for whatever reason, they're skipping steps. They think for whatever reason that they don't need to go through all the steps that everyone else has to go through. They want to get to third base and they haven't left home. So first of all, you want to have a girlfriend. Let's talk about, can you have a friend? Are you someone that can even have a friend? If you, let's talk about a male, and then you talk about women, female friends at this point. Let's talk about male friends, right? If you were had a dinner with another dude, could you hold their interest for an hour? And if could you talk to them and hold their interest for an hour and have a conversation with them? And if the answer is no, how on earth do you expect to do that with a woman and also try and convince her to date you or have sex with you? How could you if you can't do that with a dude, there's no way you'll ever be able to do that with a woman. So, I mean, this is like basic friend advice that we need to get through first is, have be someone that is pleasant to be around generally, just aesthetically, right? Having good hygiene, looking well, that kind of thing. So people want to be around people that they perceive as are attractive. That is even true with men and other men. So you don't want to be someone that someone's like, I don't want to hang out with them. They look weird. So first, fix your appearance and fix how you dress and smell and all that kind of stuff. Two, you need to have something that's interesting about you. There needs to be something that that someone, again, you could have a conversation with about people, and an in-person conversation. We're talking about friends. We're talking about an in-person friend, obviously. So when we're talking about what you're interested, the things that are interesting about you. Again, if you're inside of this dinner with a dude, and you had to convince them to hang out with you again, what would that conversation be? And newsflash, people generally don't like to talk about video games over dinner. Like talking about what like sick, you know, KD ratio you got in Call of Duty or whatever. Well, that's a conversation that most people, even people that play these games, aren't interested in over dinner. And definitely couldn't hold interest for an hour, right? And same thing that nobody wants to talk over dinner about what new porn or whatever you're gooning to. So if your only life is gooning and playing video games, then you're not interesting, and you have no business trying to have friends, let alone a girlfriend, until you become interesting, right? So you need to be someone that people are interested in speaking to. I work in the news, right? I am a person that I work in the news, so I'm able to hold people's interest due to my job because I can talk to people about new things are going on in the city. But not everybody has a job like that is inherently interesting to people. So the alternative would be having a hobby, something you do outside of your job that is something that people would find interesting. And not everything that you do, not every hobby is going to be interesting to everybody, but you find something that you like and you try and have a conversation, try and make friends with people that would find that interesting, and try and make friends and try and date people that would also find that interesting, right? Um, I mean, again, this podcast, right? My girlfriend, she's not, again, no one is interested in having conversations about video games, but my girlfriend likes watching me play video games. So we're people that when we hang out, we can play them together, right? Or like this entire channel is about, she can watch me play them. But when we're talking about holding people's interest, having a hobby that someone cares about and might want to learn more about, you need to find that. And if you can't find that, then again, why are you even thinking about having a girlfriend? You have nothing interesting about you. So like you have no reason to even think about having a girlfriend right now. Um and then just when you have these people, these friends, practice being a good friend to them, being kind, being loyal, being considerate, that kind of thing. Not only can you have male friends, but can you maintain a male friendship, right? And so that's step 1, right? Then you can move on to step 2. Step 2 is also not getting a girlfriend. Step 2 is having a female friend, right? Again, this goes back to the idea of getting rid of this Evo psych nonsense that we talked about earlier, the idea that men and women can't be friends. You have to believe that men and women can be friends because that is imperative in order have a to have a relationship, right? You need to be able to be friends with women. And there's a couple things why you want to be able to be friends with women. First of all, one, are you someone whose hygiene is not only acceptable to the men in your life, but also acceptable to the women in your life, right? And if it's not, then you need to improve. Two, do you have hobbies that would interest women? If you don't, then again, you need to find an interest you need to find a hobby that would interest women. You need to find a way to become interesting to women. That is what female friends are for, in order to learn what well, let me pedal that back. The purpose of having female friends, the purpose of having any friend, companionship and community. But you can use your female friends as a way to learn what is interesting to to other women. Additionally, learning how to not make the women in your life uncomfortable. Right when you start trying to be with a woman, you need to not make her uncomfortable. That's like the number one thing that you don't want to do. And how do you learn what makes women comfortable and what makes them not comfortable? By interacting with women, and do that by having female friends. Um, but this is, I will say that your female friends, it should not be some kind of weird orbiting thing, right? And we'll get into this a little bit later, but you should not be waiting for your female friends to like date you or anything like that. These female friends that you're trying to learn from need to be women that you are adamant that you're not going to try and pursue romantically, right? Because that will make it weird, and then it changes the dynamic, and it keeps you from fully being able to learn from them, right? Additionally, um, if part of the ways that you're going to be able to learn from them, especially if you're not an orbiter, right, is you're going to be able to listen to them talk about their relationships, and you can learn from them, right? One thing that happened with me, right? I mean, when I was like very young, one of my female friends, she talked about how, she didn't appreciate, having her boyfriend's pubes in her mouth. And I was like, I never thought about that. I think I was in high school or whatever when my female friend told me about that. Again, we were not uh romantically involved. That's why she felt comfortable talking to me about this. She had a boyfriend. I was single, but she told me about that, and I was like, okay, well, you know what? I will make sure to do manscaping or whatever in order to avoid that situation. Not in order to like make myself a better partner for her, potential partner for her, but in order to, I was like, okay, well, this seems like something that, you know, some women care about, but like not a lot of dudes think about. So I'm going to be someone that thinks about it, that kind of thing. You can learn how women want to be treated by listening to them, and you can have the opportunity to listen to them by being friends with them. Um, and so once you have female friends, then you can think about, now you're in the realm of, now I can start pursuing and trying to find a romantic partner, right? And then once you're at that point, we're at a situation where we need to start building specific skills, right? Specific skills in order to actually be with someone, right? And start a relationship with someone. So I would say, first of all, um, one thing that people do is they have this like weird fear of rejection, right? It's a insane thing that they want to avoid feeling rejected by someone. And what you do in order to get over this fear of rejection is put yourself in positions to be rejected, not necessarily by women, but one thing you can do, and one thing I've done before, right, is just go into businesses. Don't make this into content. Don't record yourself doing this. Don't do anything weird, but go into businesses that don't have a hiring sign or anything like that, and just go in and ask for an application and expect them to say no to you, and experience them telling you, yeah, no, we don't have anything for you. One, you go in, you get used to going up to people and asking them for things in public, and then you get used to the rejection part, right? And then, what's it called? Another thing you can do, building up your skills, going up to people, well, start talking to women in social interactions, and flirting with them, right? But not flirting with them with the intent of actually closing the deal, but flirting with them so you can practice flirting, learning how to flirt, practice seeing what girls like hearing, that kind of thing. And you might say, why would I flirt with someone and not try and actually shoot my shot, that kind of thing. But here's the thing, right? Going back to the uh, what I said earlier about the numbers game, you have 40 million chances. I'm sorry, what is it? 30 million chances. So you can flirt and then not shoot your shot, and it's fine. You and that might be a potential person that you missed, but you'll find someone else. You'll find someone else, and so being able to not be desperate, being able to be um like not to be nonchalant and not say every person that shows interest in me I have to try at that boosts your confidence, and it also boosts your appealability to people, right? And then again, situations that where you're in public, right? And speaking, going up to people and speaking to them, or speaking to people at the grocery store, that kind of thing. Having conversations with people, not just bland conversations like "Hi, how are you doing? Good," and then leaving, but actually trying to start conversations with people. Again, you're building your skills to actually converse with people, right? And then lastly, I would just say online dating, right? I would say in general, I mean, most people have a very low opinion of online dating. But what you can do is just, again, have a profile, Tinder, Bumble, whatever, and go on dates with people and just see how it goes. Practice going on dates with people. Practice trying to hold someone's interest. And if it's a bad date, think about it. Think about how you can improve your skills for the next date, right? Um, what's it called? So, I mean, and then once you feel like you have enough skills, that's when you actually go out and try to meet women. There's multiple ways that you can do that, right? First of all, there's online, like I said earlier. Like I said, a lot of people have you know, mixed opinions on online dating, that kind of thing, and is it only hookup culture? Like, should you try and find a relationship off of online dating? I will say, for me, right, the girlfriend I currently have, we've been together for 5 years now, and we I was literally just moved into the city, and I started Tinder again just to go out on dates with people and meet people, but we hit it off, and we just kept on seeing each other. It wasn't we did not meet up for sex. We met up to meet up and hang out and see how things go, and just be on dates with people, see the lay of the land in this city, and we liked each other, and it just went on from there. So I don't necessarily hate online dating. It's worked for me, but it doesn't work for a lot of people. um and then what's it called? Then in terms of meeting people, you have friends, right? You've established male friends, you've established female friends. You can meet them you can meet single women through your friend group that you cultivated, um, or through the hobbies that you've cultivated due to the fact that you have hobbies now that are interesting to people, right? That is part of the reason why we do that. And additionally, there's also social places. Unfortunately, again, we live in a culture where places where people can be social, third places that don't cost a lot of money are being weeded out, but you have to be able and willing to go to these places, set a budget for going out and just stay within your budget, right? Like no one said if you can't go to a bar or a club or the beach or anything like that every weekend, that is fine. But if you can go once a month, then go once a month, right? Again, when I uh got into the city and I was like going on dates and everything, I had a budget and it was like, okay, well, I can't go on a date because I already went on a date. And like that's how it is. Um so you can just put yourself on a budget. Like again, we've by this time we've eliminated our desperation. So the idea like, oh, you shouldn't be having the thought of if I'm not out looking and trying to pursue a woman right now, I'm missing a potential shot. Doesn't matter if you miss a potential shot. You have 30 million shots, right? Um so so there's that. In terms of, you know, finding women, I would say in general, don't try and find people at the gym. If you're seeing someone in public and they have their headphones on, don't try and approach them. Someone have their headphones on. Pretty clear indication that they're trying to give a message to the world that they're not trying to be bothered. That's my understanding. That's why I wear headphones in public, at least. Coworkers, don't try and start a relationship with your coworkers. That is weird. Same thing with your friends. Don't try and start a relationship with your friends. I think the like initial starting point of your relationship should be maintained for the most part. When we're talking about people, so like friends should not become romantic interests. Coworkers should not become romantic interests. That someone that is a romantic interest for you should be a romantic interest from the start, right? I think that we have it fed inside of our heads through Hollywood and stuff like that, that friends and coworkers are the ideal situation, and it's not, right? And I think that is a way that they're trying to set us up in order to fail at relationships, because we have these expectations of friends and coworkers being good romantic partners, and that is not something that you should do. And when you try and pursue that, it gets weird. Okay, so you have now, as you have become a fully social being who has the skills to approach a woman, and you have uh, found a woman that you want to pursue, and now you are on a date with them, and now what, right? How do we go about, sealing the deal and like maintaining the maintaining this so that you two can eventually, have a strong relationship, right? So I think that you need to recognize, right, that there's a lot of pressure on women to pick the right guy. Like if a woman doesn't pick the right guy, she is judged very harshly by other people in the society. So she has to be vigilant with you on and make sure that you are, the right guy, or or face that backlash, right? And so there's all kinds of ways that happens. There's a lot of dudes that complain that, first dates or whatever feel like an interview and that kind of thing from women, and that is annoying when that happens, right? But what you have to be able to do is like pull that back, reel it back so it becomes a more organic conversation. You also need to be someone and be reassuring to this person so that they feel like they don't have that you're not going to be a bad choice, right? The sooner that you can convince her that you're not going to be some weird freak, the sooner that it's going to stop being an interview and it's going to start being that y'all can just start having fun, right? And so if it's an interview, that's your fault. It is not her fault. That is your fault because you have failed to convince her through her questions that you're not going to be a bad guy, right? Someone that is harmful. Additionally, part of picking the right person for a long term relationship, right? And this is the thing, right? Um, and I think that incels get into their heads or whatever. And they have all kinds of like bad like thoughts and like a weird thought process. Picking for someone to have a short time fling or have sex with is different than picking someone for a long term relationship, right? And women are generally more picky for long term relationships. So if again you are saying that you want to have you're looking for a long term relationship with a woman, you're going to have to deal with the fact that yeah, she is going to be more picky with you, and maybe she's more picky with you, but she was less picky with letting other dudes just have sex with her. And like that's just how it is, man, because when you're talking about a long-term relationship, there's other things that go into that. Part of what a good male partner for a woman is, and they have to determine if you are a person, is a good male partner is someone that is willing to do favors, I guess, for lack of a better term, for a woman for like nothing or for like no reward. That is something that is part of a male female relationship. I'm not talking about, you know, women being like solely held up or like solely supported by a man and that kind of thing. What I'm talking about is, you know, there's times where, she could be on her cycle and she's not able to do anything and she's like sick or cramping, and you have to be able to help her and care for her, and she's not going to do anything for you in that time, man. Like I remember my mom would be like in the bed for days, right? And that's the situation that she had to deal with, right? And my dad had to be there for her, right? And he didn't get anything out of that, right? You're gonna have to take care of her, and like without the explicit promise of sex. Same thing with pregnancy, right? That's 9 months at least, and where she's going to not be able to do anything for you while you're caring for her, right? And then a child, right? A child, if you two have a child together, for the first 2 years, that child is going to be solely reliant on you being able to care for it, and it's not going to do anything for you. It's not going to make you laugh. It's not going to say anything cool. It's not going to say it loves you. It's not going to do anything for you. All it's going to do is be a burden, and you have to prove that you're going to be someone that is able to take care of your girlfriend if you guys continue dating and she's on her period or she's pregnant, or take care of the kid with little to no gain. And so you need to be able to prove that. And like part of the way that a lot of women test that is by going on dates and withholding sex until later and seeing if you freak out about it, right? Are you going to freak out if she doesn't have sex with you for a while? And if so, it's like, okay, well, if you're not willing to go on dates for 3 months, or like spend money on her for 3 months without getting sex in return, are you going to be willing to uh take care of and fully support her for 9 months while she's pregnant and not get sex in return? And that's a question that like goes through a lot of women's heads when they're picking a long-term partner, and how you act in these situations, that is the determination. I know a lot of people are, hung up on fair and you know what is done to one person has to be done to the other, has to be 100% equal and blah 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 blah. But I just don't think that that's how that works, and I think putting yourself in that position, putting yourself in that mindset holds you back, right? And at the end of the day, there's going to be, no matter how free and no matter how egalitarian we create the world, right? There's going to be times where a woman's going to be reliant on her male partner if she has a male partner, right? And because of that, if she's going to choose a male partner, she has to pick someone who is going to, one, help her, and then also not make the situation worse, right? Again, are you going to like freak out and stress her out when, she's saying that she is feeling, you know, that she is like not able to have sex or whatever because she's cramping? Like, are you going to be okay with that, or are you going to make her mood even worse by pouting? That is the thought process. And again, a lot of men, sorry, leave their children because they are just uninterested in like the, monotony of like just caring for this essentially burden for 2 years that doesn't provide anything back in return. Once they're two, they start having personalities and it becomes fun to have a kid. But before then, it's not fun like at all. And and a lot of dudes leave. And then when they leave, now the woman is judged for being with someone who would leave. So she has to see, is this someone who is willing to take care, if is this someone that is willing to take care of another human being for no benefit for 2 years. And and part of the way, again, part of the way to test that is the dating process, and make and having men pay for it. And if you can't financially do that, then like that's something you need to like be aware of. And also just be someone that like talks and has a conversation about it. I think my experience, women are a lot more understanding of men's financial situations than the internet will lead you to believe. And as long as you're someone that like tries and cares and like doesn't make it a huge deal, then they're able to work with you, right? It's one thing to say, "Hey, I can't afford to like go to like solely pay for dates or whatever. If it would be great if you could like cover drinks or anything like that." That's one thing. I've never known or heard of a woman that like had an issue with that. It's another thing to go like to get like real freaked out and like not say anything until the end of the date and say, "Oh no, we're going half and half and blah 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 blah. And you got this, so you need to pay for that." And like, how are women supposed to ask for equal rights, but they don't want to pay for meals and that kind of thing? That is that is ridiculous, and people have a lot less patience for that, right? Um, at the end of the day, and I think this is something that just needs to be said. Maybe I should have said at the beginning, but like this is all just one person's experience. I only have one person's experience. Everyone else has their own, but I generally think that in my experience of dating, that I have not that going through this process of socialization and building and skill building has made me very successful in my dating life, right? And I have a beautiful girlfriend that loves me. And so I think that if I was speaking to a short Indian balding man who worked as a janitor, I would give him the same advice, right? There's other people that, they would go through, he might give you other advice like working out and blah blah blah, that kind of thing. But I do think one thing that like I think I've never heard anyone else on the internet at least say is, just thinking through, are you even a person that other people want to be around before we even talk about getting a girlfriend? And so I just wanted to throw my hat in the ring with that. But yeah, if you have any thoughts or anything, please comment them down below. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you are my girlfriend, I love you, and I hope everyone has a great day and tries to make the world a better place. Bye.